Can you guys see me okay? Hey everybody, can you see me? Yay! Rena always says, hola guapa. Thank you, darling. You always make my day. I've been watching the chit chat for just a minute. We've just been trying to get live on YouTube's over here. I have to kick my son off his video games before class so that my internet is good and strong. Someone was asking about tools. I had addressed this a couple of different places previously, but in case you missed maybe those sessions or those live chats or whatever, I want to, in fact, I think it was during one of our Yom challenges last week where I talked about tools. So let me do a quick recap on what's happening with tools, everybody. It's great to see you. This is session 1 of April. And so it's every Wednesday after this. Session 1 is tonight. Next Wednesday is Crystal Masters. There's only one day that's interrupted, and it's because there's a new moon on a Wednesday. So we moved the class to Thursday from a Wednesday. Yeah, and Alexis is reminding you that the information about tools is also pinned in our Facebook group. Some of you may not be in the Facebook group, and so if you missed the live, if you missed the Facebook group, you may not know what's going on. So, welcome to the crazy world that we live in. The delay in tools is not a Sage Goddess delay. It is a global supply chain delay. So I think most of you know what's happening in our world right now. China and India, which is where 2 parts of your tools are coming from, or have come from, have been on a national lockdown for the last, China, it's been about 6 to 8 weeks. India, unfortunately, and I was explaining this whole story earlier, the entire country of India was given 4 hours notice before they were put on national lockdown. This was several weeks ago. And so everybody that works with us sent us as much as they could before their national lockdown happened. So again, this is not a Sage Goddess delay. This is a global delay. And so all of the international tools for this month, Crystal Masters and Soul Shift, have all shipped because we sent those first because those take the longest. After that, I believe that also, you can check me on this, Alexis, I believe that also all of the East Coast US domestic tools have also gone out and been received. Some kits are missing the citrine spheres and the generator, the pillar. And that's because, again, of a global lockdown on China and India. Now, all of those tools are now coming because those countries are starting to be able to ship again. They're going to all be coming through Sage Goddess, and then they're going to be shipped out right away. So all of your tools are coming to you in April. They may not be here before the first class or the second class, but they are all coming. And we have tracking and we're managing everything. But it's, there are actually some people in this country who aren't fully aware, and that's okay, of what's happening in those other countries. But they have been experiencing even more significant setbacks, truly, in terms of health and productivity than we have. And our message to our suppliers through this whole process has been, stay safe. We understand everything will get here as soon as it can. So let me say this one more time because Danielle's asking about Crystal Masters tools. So I'll just say it one more time. And then if you come in late, just go back to the beginning. All Crystal Masters tools, international and East Coast, have shipped. The West Coast and tools that we can get to you within 2 to 3 days have not shipped yet. So we sent out the long range packages first because we thought that was responsible. Right? Because those take longer to get where they're going. Same thing with Soul Shift tools. Everybody international and East Coast has received their entire kit. Some kits have gone out without the citrine spheres and the generators. And what Sage Goddess is doing, we are paying for a second shipment to you at no cost to you, which is challenging for us financially, but we are committed to getting all of your tools to you. So we shipped, even if we only had the whole kit minus the pillar and the spheres, we already shipped the rest of your tools to you. And then you're going to get a second shipment from us on our dime. You will not be charged for it. That will have your pillar and your spheres, because those are coming from countries where, due to this virus, which is out of our control, those countries have been on nationwide lockdown and we're not able to ship. Does that make sense? So anyway, I just wanted to, it would be cheaper to add it to May's kits, Annette, but I don't want to wait till May. So we made a company-wide decision to ship them to you at our cost. So you're going to get 2 shipments this month. If you got your tools, but you're like, wait, where are the spheres? Where's my generator? You're going to get a second box from us, but you will not be charged for that, and it's going to have your spheres and your generator in it. Okay. April's asking, Alexis, can you check on this for me? April's asking about $13 shipping on her notebook. Where is it shipping to, April? Can you remind me whether you're domestic or international? I just can't remember. That doesn't seem right. But it could be, it actually is a really heavy notebook and it's a big size. So I don't know that seems right, but I'm going to have Alexis check on it for you. Okay, Washington State. Alexis is looking into it for you right now. It is actually really, it's like a big book. Did you see this, by the way? Comes with a pen. These are $17, I believe, for the pen and the notebook, and then it's 18% off today. So it's about $15 to get your brand new Soul Shift notebook and your pen. I don't have enough notebooks for everybody in the group, so please don't feel obligated, and if you don't want one, that's okay. Leave it for somebody else. But they are really cool notebooks. We have these custom made. Have a pocket in the front so you can put all your worksheets and everything in there. I chose gold for the spine because I just thought it was pretty. And then the pens we custom designed to kind of match. So you'll get a teal pen or a indigo pen. Aren't they fun? Did you see we also made hand sanitizer? Everybody's been asking. So we made Palotizer. This is 95% pure cane alcohol with 5% Palo Santo essential oil. So if you need a good hand sanitizer to carry in your purse, which is where mine is. I'm not going out all that much, but if you go to run to get groceries or if you're checking your mailbox or like when I come back in the house, I just spray this. I also have gone around the house with this and sprayed all the light switches and the toilet handles. And also I used this morning in the kitchen for the faucet. Just things that people are commonly touching because it's a really good pure sanitizer. It doesn't have aloe in it and stuff, so it really is a cleanser for hard surfaces, and it will kill anything that's there. So this is there too, and the microwave too, right? Gina's asking, do you think you could make a notebook that has all the worksheets from Sage Goddess for those who can't print? That's an interesting idea. Probably not right now, just because my team is kind of underwater a little bit, but when we come back up for air after all of this is finished, might be able to put something like that or curate something like that for you. The notebook is lined. I'm such a picky Pickerton about notebooks. It's lined. It's 200 pages, by the way. Because I don't know about you, so this is my notebook. By the way, my notebook that I love, I paid $20 for on Amazon because it's got a flower cover. So yours is kind of a deal. For $15 you get your notebook and you get your pens. But anyway, this notebook I thought was a good size, but I still wanted something bigger. So this is a bigger one that will last you longer. And I'm at the end of mine right now, so I'm going to switch over to I probably have another 2 weeks before I'm going to be switching over to my Soul Shift notebook. Are you a grid paper snob, Rena? I don't blame you. I like grid paper too. I'm just a school supply person. I love notebooks. I love school supplies of all kinds. Okay, so that's why, because the notebook weighs 2 pounds. So that's the shipping cost. Thank you for sleuthing that, Alexis. It really is like a big book. But I don't know about you. I don't like a thin notebook because I don't want to have to change my notebook all the time. I mean, I keep my whole life in there. So I only like to change my notebook every 6 to 8 weeks or so. All right, so let's dig in because we have so much to cover tonight. I don't want to slip too far behind, but I'm glad I got to show you all of that. So we're going to start with our... Where did I put all my paperwork? Oh, here they are. We're going to start. By the way, Christine has a birthday today. Chris has a birthday today. We have multiple birthday girls in our situation today, in our collective. So I want to say happy birthday to you. I want to say I'm thankful for you and your presence and your life and your health. Grateful for you. And if you're here, thank you for spending part of your birthday with us. We really, really, really appreciate it. Really appreciate it. So happy birthday to all of you. Okay. Session 1 has begun. And we have brand new folks here tonight too, so I want to welcome you. If this is your first session of Soul Shift, I hope you love it. Lena said it's her Uncle Ron's birthday too. Happy birthday to Uncle Ron. My daughter's actually at a birthday party right now. And by birthday party, I mean Dave, because I'm teaching you, so Dave took her, and it's a drive-by birthday where the birthday girl stands in the driveway. It's one of her best friends today. It's her birthday. And so the birthday girl, Mia, is standing in her driveway, and all of the girls are driving by and waving at Mia to celebrate her birthday with her. So anyway, she's at a birthday party too right now. I'm just looking at your comments. Yay. Okay. Sounds good, you guys. All right. So we're going to start with your worksheets. Then we're going to talk about our Angela Foe symbol for the month and activate that together. Then we're going to craft our perfume, and that is session 1. So session 1 of Soul Shift, if you're new, is always Pillars of Priestessing, and that's what tonight is. And tonight we're focusing on Hermetic manifestation. Tonight's really important. And I know the timing sucks to be talking about manifestation. You might be sitting there going, I can't believe we're talking about manifestation when our world is in such a weird, chaotic, kind of liminal space. But I'll tell you something. This is exactly the time to talk about manifestation. I really feel like this time-space situation that we're in right now is this huge challenge to us. It's a test. Can we put these priestessing skills to work? You've never been, sorry, I've got hair in my mouth. I'm trying to get it out of my face. We've never been in more of a position where we have to put all of our priestessing skills to work than we are right now. It is so important. And, a lot of you who are like, how do I manage this? How do I help people? How do I hold space? How do I facilitate gatherings for my family? How do I hold a virtual birthday party? How do I do all of these things? You put the skills to practice. A lot of you have been here for a long time, and you've learned a lot over these years. There's a couple things I want to say about this. It's really nice to see you, Brittany Grotto. It's nice to have all of you here, truly. Thank you for being here. The first thing I want to say is all of us are going to falter right now. I have times where I am overcome with grief and stress and anxiety and missing my parents, not being able to hug them, seeing my daughter grieve because she can't hug her best friend on her birthday. If I showed you the little card that Zoe wrote to her friend, she brought it to me. I took a picture of what she wrote, and it basically said, I'm sorry that you can't have your regular birthday, but I'm going to do my best to make this one fun for you. It's like just seeing their little messages and how they're even trying to priestess with each other and show up for each other and say, it's still going to be a great birthday because we can all be together, and maybe we can't hug each other, but we can, give each other a good time, or still yell at each other from across the street, or whatever we're doing now for birthday parties, right? Tonight is Passover. So if you observe the Jewish holidays, I want to wish you Passover blessings tonight. Makes me kind of sad. This is the first time I haven't spent Passover with the people who are really like Dave's parents, who do all the high holidays with us and have given my children beautiful Passover and Hanukkah memories for years. It's the first time we're not having a Pesach ceremony with them. It's a very, very challenging time that we're all going through. People are doing virtual ceremonies tonight for their Seder. It's so bizarre to go through this time. But this is exactly the time when you have to remember everything that you've learned. It's kind of like being in college and having a test, right? Like I would be having Seder right now. I probably wouldn't be here live with you guys. We probably would have pushed class to tomorrow or something like that because I would have been having Seder. So what's the blessing in that? I get to be here with you because we're not having our Seder, right? You can look at that as a sad thing, or you can look at it as a positive thing, that I didn't have to move class around because I wasn't celebrating that holiday in the way that we usually do. We'll do something small with the kids tonight, but we're not doing a traditional Seder. Yeah, it did stop raining. You can hear all the birds. It's very pretty outside right now. Seder is the meal that you share on at Passover, and it's a very traditional meal. You have certain things that you eat and certain blessings that you say, and so traditionally we would be doing our Seder right around now, right around getting ready for sundown. So anyway, but I'm very happy to be with all of you. Okay. So the first thing is we're all going to falter right now. You're going to have times where you feel so strong and you're like, I've got this. I'm on top of it. I feel optimistic. I'm not worried at all. And then you'll have times, because we're human, we're going to talk about the Hermetic principles tonight, and you'll have times where you experience polarity, where you go from complete peace and calm and comfort and strength to, oh my God, I can't stop crying. Oh my God, this is too much for me. I don't know if I can handle this. I don't know how to explain this to my kids. I don't know how to, you know what I mean? And because we're human, we're going to go through these sine waves, these ebb and flow moments where we're okay and then we're not okay, and we're okay and we're not okay. I want to say that first of all, because everybody else that I'm seeing online is like, when I listen to them, even podcasts and stuff, it's like they're not talking about that. And so I keep thinking, am I the only one who's having these, like, you know, I'm having more up moments than down moments, but I'm definitely having moments where I'm like, it's like childbirth, like I'm having to breathe through it, you know, like I'm going through contractions, right? So I want to tell you that just because I don't want you to feel alone when you're having those moments where you're like, I know better. I know everything's going to be okay. I know that it's okay to go up and down, but oh my gosh, this is really hard, right? So I just want you to know that first of all. The second thing I want you to know is that what we're going to talk about tonight, and I designed tonight's class months ago, before Tucson. I designed tonight's class after ayahuasca ceremony in October. I had no idea this was coming. I will tell you something though, and this is the only, and I've really given this some thought. I had an inkling that live gatherings at Sage Goddess were coming to a close. Our last full moon ceremony in person was months ago now. And we decided to push pause on it because we were getting ready to move. But it was a little bit, there was almost another energy or another kind of decision factor in that calculus of stopping the public events for a while. I felt this coming. I really did. I was like, I think this might be it for a while. And I had no idea, because at that time the news media and everybody else was saying, oh, it's just like the flu, don't worry about it. I mean, if we had thought anything like this was coming, we wouldn't have gone to Tucson, right? So just had no idea, but I think there was a little bit of something in the back of my mind that was telling me this was going to happen. I just didn't see it on a global scale. But probably at the end of the day, it was for everyone's highest good that we did stop at that time, right? Did you know it too? A little bit, right? You felt it last summer, you seem. It's really interesting, right? Oh yeah, I see you. Whew. I really do see you. I really do see you. Yeah, right. Adara Music said was pulling back on readings and in-person service, and you weren't quite sure what was going on, right? Sheree said she had an intense feeling a couple of months ago. She didn't know how big it was going to be, right? Interesting, isn't it, you guys? Like, I'm just reading your comments, and like, can you look back now and see that there were little tiny inklings of this in your world, in your psyche, and maybe you just weren't putting all the pieces together? Okay, so we are going to get through this. And I designed this class before any of this happened, because April and May in the magical wheel of time are the creation months of the year. And so really hear me. Tonight's really important. And I almost want to ask, I know it's kind of shitty to say it this way, but can you try to put what's happening in the world in parentheses just for tonight? Like, I'm not a compartmentalizer. I don't believe in just like blocking your feelings and stuff, but can you just put parentheses around what's going on in the world and just take it over here and just sit it here? We can all pick it up when we're done tonight. But I'm going to do that, okay? Because it's really important. And then we can put everything back into context. Again, not repression, not denial, but just like parentheses and just over here. Because I need you to kind of be here. This situation that we're in right now is not going to last forever. There is a conclusion to it. My spirit guides have assured me. Most of the world spiritual leaders who I trust and follow have echoed that sentiment. We're all getting that as an intuitive hit. So I know it's tempting to indulge it and think about it all the time. I try not to, but I know it's tempting. But just for tonight, because the rest of the year is still wide open. We're only in month 4, and anything that you're going to create, build, experience this year is going to start being created right now. It's going to happen between now and about the 15th of May. That's the portal. Okay, so we have these 4 weeks in the year. There are no other time, space windows like this in 2020. And in particular tonight, I think it's really important because we're still on the backside of the biggest full moon of the year. If you didn't see last night's full moon ceremony, it was really lovely. It's recorded. You can find it on YouTube. Don't watch it now, but if you missed it, definitely go back and check it out later. I don't think it's a coincidence that we have the biggest full moon of the entire 2020 happening in this 24-hour period at the opening of this manifestation corridor that lasts from right about now. Passover, Easter is always that portal opening, all the way until about 2 weeks after Beltane. Beltane, May 1st, is one of the 2 most important days of the year to magicians, okay? Because it is, if you think of the wheel of time as a circle, Samhain, Halloween, is down here, and 6 months ahead of that is Beltane. And those are portals, those are doorways, where the veil between the worlds, the veil between the living and the dead, between the conscious and the unconscious, between the spirit world and the material world, that's when that window is very, very thin. That's only about 3 weeks from now. And so ahead of that, and especially a week from now or so, as you get 2 weeks on either side of Beltane and 2 weeks on either side of Samhain, those are 2 very important portal ways for creation, for connection with spirit guides, for manifestation. And so Beltane is the portal to manifestation of life. And Samhain is the portal of manifestation of death, right? And transformation and transmutation and spiritual depth and ancestral healing and all of that. Okay? So, and our Southern Hemisphere brothers and sisters, I worked in that hemisphere of the world. I was responsible for all of our New Zealand and Australia accounts for a company that I worked for in Washington, D.C. for years. And so I'm very familiar with that part of the world. They are about to hit Samhain. So they are coming close to that portal. We in the Northern Hemisphere are coming close to Beltane. It's the same portal, but it's the flip alternative. So we are opening the doorway to life. They're opening the doorway to death. Does that make sense? And so tonight, what I want to focus on as I teach you my take on the Hermetic principles, one of you had asked, are you stressed out about, the Hermetic principles tonight because it's so complex? I'm going to break it down for you in a really simple way tonight. So I'm not going to teach it to you like this is a university seminar on the Kabbalion and the Emerald tablets. We can take it to a really complex place, but I'm going to keep it kind of light and easy tonight and really focused on manifestation. And Team SG takes notes, so you have nothing to do but just sit back and relax. Yeah, Tammy asked, Athena, don't you feel that collectively we will all be more aware and have the ability to change the mindsets of people that don't understand the 5D part of self-healing and spirituality? Yes and no. I still see people not waking up right now. Even in the midst of what I see as a collective awakening, I still see people behaving selfishly, unkindly, with judgment in their heart, with a closed mind. But I'm very open to seeing more of the 5D and less of the 3D. I see a shift happening, but it's not, we're not there yet. I'm optimistic, though. That's right. Shelby Sudar said it's not everyone's contract to wake up right now. Aho to that, girl. I couldn't agree more. So that's great. So L. Morrison said, never heard of these principles till you mentioned them. So that's great. And even if you have heard of them before, so this is what I want to tell you about tonight's principles. I learned about these principles when I was 18. And at the time, I was too young, too green. I mean, I just remember hearing emerald tablets because I was in a priestessing seminar, and it kind of went right over my head. And the way they were taught to me at the time was very esoteric. And so I couldn't see at the time how they applied to me in my life. And the high priest and priestess who were the head of the coven that I was working with at the time weren't really interested in trying to make them applicable. You know, they were keeping the information up here and I was kind of down here. And so I have notes about it from back when I was 17, 18 years old. But even my notes, when I go back and look, I'm like, I don't even think I knew what I was writing down. Then I came back to the Hermetic principles when I was about maybe 25. And I started to kind of get it. That's when I bought the Kabbalion and I really started to read again. And I started to read other people's articles about it and so on. Then I came back to it again during my Saturn return at 29. And that's when it all kind of really hit me. I really started to integrate them and understand it. This is the third time I'm teaching the Hermetic principles to my online classes. And so I did a meditation last week where I connected with Thoth or Thoth, depending on how you pronounce it, who's also known as Hermes Trismegistus. And I'll explain all of that in a minute, because Hermes Trismegistus means thrice great. He's got three different names, right? He's Hermes, he's Mercury, and he's Thoth. So he's known by those three names in different traditions. Thoth is Egyptian, right, and Mercury, and then there's Hermes, but they're all the same energy. And Hermes Trismegistus, or the thrice great, is known as the father of writing and the father of wisdom and the father of magic, really, across all traditions, okay? In one of my journeys, I was told that I was him, which kind of blew my mind. It's really funny, like, take that for what it's worth. I'm not saying that you're sitting here beholding Thoth, but I think I may be able to channel him too. And I've always been a writer. I've always taught writing. I can easily pick up languages. I'm multilingual. So I've always had this really interesting connection with him because language is kind of my thing. But he's a powerful essence. He's a powerful energy stream. And I think a lot of people connect to him and can channel him. And I do believe that I'm Atlantean and came through Egypt, which was the pathway that Thoth took through from Atlantis into Egypt and then ultimately to Greece and Rome in the form of Mercury and Hermes. So anyway, by the time I really started to look at it at 29, I thought I was starting to get it. So I did this journey meditation last week, and I literally afterward, where's the sheet where I was writing? I just started writing. And I'm going to read you some of what I wrote after that meditation. Because I remember sitting there thinking, this just went next level for me. And I've been studying this, like I said, I was first exposed to it when I was 17 or 18. I'm turning 47 in August. So 30 years of actively wanting to understand this. And I still feel like I'm double clicking. Does that make sense? Like, I still feel like every time I go in, I'm like, oh, now I get it. Oh, I didn't realize that. Whoa, hey, there's a new way of looking at it. Again, what looks like really simple wisdom, and when I tell you tonight, you're going to be like, is that all it is? It's not that simple. There's always a double click. With Thoth, there's always some other little nugget. There's some other little piece of wisdom. So even if you have heard me teach it, twice, because some of you have been around the block with me a couple times, you're still going to hear something different in what I'm teaching tonight. And that's what keeps it exciting for me. That's what I hope will keep it exciting for you. And if you've never heard me talk about it before, you don't need to. You don't have to go back and take that class or hear that again, because I'm going to try to cover all those basics tonight too. It's interesting, isn't it? Like, it's one of those things where like, oh, I totally get that. And then you're like, I totally don't get that. Explain that to me again. And by the way, hermetic, the word hermetic, which has come to be synonymous with like secret or inaccessible or mysterious, really just comes from Hermes. right? Who's one of the three faces of Hermes Trismegistus, or Hermes thrice great. Yeah, sealed, right? Like hidden. Just like the word occult, right? Just means hidden from the Latin, right? Occult doesn't mean anything scary or evil or dark. It just means something you can't see. So we have all these words to describe magic in our vocabulary, and we're like, ooh, the occult. And it's like, it just means you can't see it. Like it's occluded, right? So we have to be careful that we don't like read too much into things sometimes. Okay. And I'm going to talk to you. So after we talk about Hermetic manifestation, I'm going to talk to you about the 12 steps of acknowledgement. Did you guys see this in your online classroom? These are the 12 steps of acknowledgement. So to give you a quick heads up, and by the way, there's a whole other set of worksheets in your classroom that aligns to this. Okay. My team and I got together and discussed an article by Stephen Forrest about the 12 steps of the recovery program. Okay. So the father of the recovery program, the 12-step recovery program that some people have been through, I have not personally been through recovery, but a lot of our community members have. The person who discovered or fathered that discovery program, or that recovery program, knew and was friends with Carl Jung, the famous psychoanalyst, right? The father of shadow work. Carl Jung was an astrologer. And so what Stephen Forrest has been able to articulate for us in these 12 steps of acknowledgement is that the recovery program is actually based on astrology. And it begins with Aries. Okay, this is where it's like so fascinating to me. So instead of just doing shadow work in Soul Shift in October like we usually do, we usually wait till October and then we start talking about shadow work. Like shadow work only happens in October and the rest of the year we're fine. This year, I've decided to start shadow work now and to actually take you through the astrological year, starting with Aries, and show you how each of the 12 steps in the recovery program is actually tied to a different astrological sign. And instead of just doing shadow work in October, we're going to do 12 acknowledgements, okay? That's where we're going to take it this year. Yeah, so Bill Wilson, who's the father of the recovery program, the 12-step program, he was friends with Carl Jung. And Carl Jung is part of the reason the 12 steps look like they do. And so there's already an astrological connection. And then Stephen Forrest came and picked up the work of Bill Wilson, tied it to Carl Jung. Julia Rio is a friend of Bill Wilson. So fantastic. So isn't it interesting how this all lines up? So we're not talking about recovery. I just want to make that clear. We are not doing recovery in Soul Shift. That's not what this is about. We are doing shadow work through the astrological signs. But I want you to see that it lines up with recovery. And the 12 steps of recovery are actually rooted to the 12 signs of the zodiac, which a lot of people don't know, but it's very, very interesting. So I will come back to the 12 steps of acknowledgement in our first step for April after we're done with... you don't have to be a 12-step fan. That's not what this is about. Tonight is about the astrology of that and linking it to shadow work. So we're not doing recovery work here. But I thought that the connection was interesting. And I always, I don't know about you, but I like to know the foundations of systems in our society. I think very few people know who built the recovery program or that it has astrological roots that tie them to psychoanalysis through Carl Jung. And that it's also connected to the shadow and to the archetypes. And you know what I mean? We just see recovery as like this thing out there that somebody made up, but they don't really understand that it has all of these philosophical and esoteric roots that even connect it to metaphysical and spiritual practice too. Fascinating stuff, isn't it? Yeah, it's good stuff. Okay, so let's start with our Hermetic manifestation, Hermetic principles. And so, like I said, I want to take world events, put them in parentheses, and put them over here because I don't want you to focus on that for right now. I want you to come up in your mind with an example of something you're trying to manifest right now. Because you'll be able, if you do that, you'll have something that you can apply what we're learning tonight to. Okay, so it could be a new business. It could be a new evolution in your marriage or your relationship or your partnership. It could be trying to manifest a partnership. It could be health, that you're trying to improve your health. For Colleen, it's an aligned career. For Tara Winters, it's a new home. I really want you to have something that you're trying to manifest, so that as we go through step by step, you have a way to apply these principles. So achieving your ideal body weight for Nathan. Paulette's all business, right? Which is great. Growth in clients, right? And it's especially good too. It'll keep you optimistic if this is something that you're trying to build, not just now, but especially going to be focusing your energy on once we get through this weird time, right? So it's like, where are you going to be putting all this energy that you're building up right now and that you are catalyzing through this experience? Where are you going to direct that once we're all through this process? Retirement. Well, it's helpful just for tonight, Tanya. You don't have to just be focusing on one thing, but just for tonight, it's helpful to help you organize the information if you can just focus on one thing. And then after tonight, if you want, in your mind, you can go in and say, now I'm going to apply it to these 18 other things I'm trying to do too. But for the sake of example, try to have just one. And I love that you guys didn't have to really think about it, because you already know what you're trying to manifest, and that's why you're in this class, and that's why this is called Soul Shift, because you guys are ready for this. Okay. Now, we're going to go through each of the 7 steps tonight, and like I said, I'm not going to read the Kybalion. I'm not going to go through and get into the nitty gritty. I'm going to give you my interpretation, and then this next level layer that was brought to me in meditation last week that I hope you'll find really helpful too. So the first of the 7 principles, the Hermetic principles, is called mentalism, or what's known as the all is mind. The all in Hermetic manifestation, in Hermetic terms, through these principles, the all is considered to be God or source. It's the big energy in the universe, and it's undefinable. Of course, Hermes claimed it was unknowable. And to some extent, if you think about it, God, however we think about God, limits God, right? Like if we try to paint a picture of God, like now we're limiting God to that picture, or we try to think about God, or even calling God God limits God, right? So it's the unknowable. But the first principle of mentalism is one of the most important. And this is one of the places, there were a couple of places where I got these big hits in my meditation, but this was one of them. Here are the concepts. Form, what you experience in your life, follows your thoughts. Everything that you will ultimately ever create in this life begins as a thought. Even having a child begins as, let's have sex. I mean, not to put too fine a point on it, right? But form follows thought. Or, hey, that guy's cute. You walk down that road, boom, something happens, right? Now, this is where it gets interesting to me. Mentalism is what I call blue sky. Mentalism is the part of the process of magic. And I want you to think about the 7 principles as the process of magic, how magic works. Mentalism is the part that tells you it all begins here. And it is really true. And that's why your mindset, your mental health, is my most important concern right now. I want you to stay physically healthy. I want you to be able to be prosperous and happy. But I am primarily concerned through this shift in our world right now about your mental health. Because as you think, so you become. Every thought you have is shifting what's going to happen for you 2 weeks from now, 4 weeks from now, 6 months from now, and all the way through the end of this year. That's how powerful your thoughts are. If you knew how powerful your thoughts were, you would run your operating system very differently. If I could prove it to you, which some of you believe this to be true, some of you may not, but if I could prove it to you, you would live your life very differently. You would manage your conversations differently, you would manage your inner monologue differently, all of that, okay? That's right, it is your intention. Because your intention is the thought that drives the engine, right? And so form follows thought. Here's where it gets interesting. And this is what Hermes said to me in my meditation. The reason people don't manifest, all of the reasons that people don't manifest are hidden in the Hermetic principles. So when you say, well, I tried all of that, it didn't work. I lit my candle, nothing happened. I held an intention for 2 whole months. I didn't get it. And then you give up because you're like, well, obviously that doesn't work. This is the secret to it all, okay? The collective consciousness also lives here in this principle. So your thoughts are creating your reality, but everybody else's thoughts are in that soup too. This is one of the number one reasons why people don't manifest what they want. They're thinking, I'm focused. I want a new house. I want, a new car. I want a new job. I want a new this. But what they don't realize is their thoughts are in an energetic soup with everybody else's thoughts, including your partner, your children, your boss, your neighbor who doesn't like you, your friend who thinks that your woo-woo stuff is weird. Everybody's energies are in this soup of mentalism. And so the reason most people don't manifest is they're trying to hold that thought, but they have no idea how to harness that thought and focus it and sharpen it in the sea of other voices that are also manifesting. Does that make sense? This goes beyond the law of attraction, though, Cecilia. This is what I'm trying to illustrate. The law of attraction just says, focus on what you want and it will come to you. But it doesn't talk about the traps. And the reason people are like, well, I made a vision board, it didn't happen. It's because there are traps built in this. That's why it's so mysterious, and that's why it's so incredibly difficult. So one of the traps is, how do you focus and sharpen your thoughts in the sea of the other thoughts that are happening? So this is what I wrote down after my meditation. This is the part that even I was missing when I was younger. It's so hard to override the racing thoughts and opinions and judgments that aren't even your own. Knowing that turns the dial. Recognize that not all of your thoughts are your thoughts. Become the ringleader of this circus. Seriously, become the ringleader of this circus. You're going to have to become a little bit of a crossing guard, okay? So as soon as you set an intention, you start to focus your thoughts, then the other thoughts start coming in. Oh, but what about this? Well, what about that? Well, yeah, you know what? My husband's right. I mean, if I wanted to build that, I would need money, and we don't have money. And my kids are right. I mean, if I was to work that hard, then I wouldn't have as much time for them. And, well, my boss is right. I mean, I've only been at this job for 6 months. So if I was to quit now, what if my business didn't take off, and then I would need this job, and then I wouldn't have it? And my mom is right. I mean, this isn't really realistic, and so all of that becomes the soup that you're swimming in. And so to Tiffany Park's point, you have to manage the boundaries. You have to delineate what's going to be part of the mental soup. And that is the priestessing part of all of this. The reason I'm teaching you this in the context of Pillars of Priestessing is this is your own mental leadership. And if you want something, I mean, I will tell you right now, when I first created Sage Goddess, I didn't even tell anybody. I mean, I'm sure I've told you this before. I told nobody. Even Dave didn't know I made it for about 6 months. He had no clue. I didn't want to say anything to anybody. I didn't think it was going to be anything. And then I kind of wanted it to be something, but I didn't know. And I didn't want people going, well, that's so dumb. Why would you do that? And who's going to buy a sage bundle? And nobody wants crystals. I mean, nobody was selling crystals back then. It was 10 years ago. And you're going to go on YouTube. Nobody wants a moon ritual. Who does moon ritual? That's the dumbest thing. And like, who's even going to watch your moon ritual? Like, just because you have people who join you in person, why would they join you online? So I didn't tell anybody. And then when I finally kind of had to tell Dave because it was getting too big and I needed help, he was like, this is kind of weird. Like, what? Like, that's why you're out there picking sage and wrapping those things? That's why they're hanging? It's like, what? So I always tell people, when you are manifesting something, if I had listened to all those people, by the way, I wouldn't even be sitting here talking to you right now. I didn't tell anybody. When you are manifesting something that you really want to grow and create and have bloom, first of all, it's better not to tell a lot of people while you're while you're germinating it, while you're, gestating, right? Because the minute they start going, what? Why would you do that? And, nobody's on YouTube and nobody does that and nobody wants that. And who are you? And all right. So you have to decide whether your dream is valid or not. You have to decide whether it's worth putting your energy toward. And then you have to decide who's going to know about it and who's not going to know about it. And then you have to be a ringleader of your own damn circus. And that's right, because every time that little, but what if, then you start going, yeah, you know what, they're right. And what happens? So I want you to imagine, to your point, Lena Case, it's a bubble. Imagine this is a balloon. You're blowing up a balloon of all the things that you want, right? I want that new job. I want that new relationship. And then little by little, people are like, well, your last relationship didn't work out. And you don't have very good taste in men. And, well, I don't know. Maybe you should just be single for a while. And all of a sudden, the balloon starts to, right? You got to leave air in your balloon. And I'm not saying to keep secrets from important people in your life, but really be mindful, because the all is mental, and because half of the game of manifestation is about your thoughts. Right? Pam thought her business was weird, right? Pam's the freaking popcorn queen of the entire Midwest of the United States. But, it helps me to know that somebody thought maybe you thought it was weird at the beginning. That's inspirational for all of us, right? Okay, so Stephanie said, what if you don't pay attention to that? I think that's great, Stephanie, but here's the real kicker. Are you ready? Where did I write it? Okay, let me get to number 2, Stephanie, and this is going to answer your question. The second principle is correspondence. As above, so below. This is the principle of balance in the universe. All right? And this says that the all is one. The all is one force. This is the principle of universality. This comes down to whether you believe that God is infinite. Let me say that again. This comes down to whether you believe God is a source of infinite potential. And if you don't like the word God, that's okay. Substitute goddess, substitute source, substitute whatever you want to call it. I'm not attached to God, okay? But it comes down to whether you think that one force has infinite potential or not. I happen to believe there is a force in this universe of infinite potential. So you have to kind of believe that in order for the rest of this to fall into line. Understanding that your subconscious beliefs are the issue with manifestation, not your conscious practice. Let me say that again. Your subconscious belief, whether there is infinite potential in this universe, is what this all comes down to. So to the earlier question, well, what if I just don't listen to other people? As long as you believe that there is a force in this universe of unlimited potential, then that's fine. If your subconscious belief is that there is limited potential in this universe, that nothing is unlimited, then it won't matter. Does that make sense? So this what I'm about to say right now is the most important sentence probably of the whole class. You do not manifest through your conscious practice. Does it help? Yes. Setting up a grid, conscious practice. Lighting your candles, conscious practice. Repeating your mantras, conscious practice, right? Daily affirmations. None of that matters, according to Hermetic principles, which is how I live my life. None of that matters if underneath it all you're like, the universe is limited. There's only so much for everybody. If I get my dreams, if my dreams come true, then your dreams can't come true. You manifest from your subconscious beliefs, not from your conscious practice. And so when people come to me and they're like, I lit that damn candle 3 times, and I'll tell you something, nothing happened. That's a bad candle. The candle is their conscious practice. Underneath it all, if they don't believe they're worthy of love, if they believe that their next relationship's going to be as bad as the last one, if they believe that they're not worthy of prosperity. Or if they believe that if they get prosperity, that means that somebody else doesn't get it because there's only this much pie, and if they eat too much, then somebody else has to go without. It doesn't matter whether they light that candle every day or not, because they're not going to be able to override that. So that is the game changer in this iteration of the Hermetic truths for me. And that's what has reopened itself to me. I happen to believe that this universe is a source of infinite potential. And the only thing blocking that potential is me. My ability to trust it, believe in it, know how to open a channel for it, know how to shut down other people's doubting of it and stop listening to that, right? You do not manifest through your conscious practice, lighting your candles, saying your affirmations. You manifest through your subconscious beliefs. And that is why, now, the conscious practice is helpful if it becomes a way of connecting to your subconscious beliefs. Like every time I light that candle, I'm reminded of an infinite potential. Then those conscious tools are helpful, right? Now, what's interesting is you don't have to believe in a God for this to work. You just have to believe that the universe itself is a source of infinite energy. But I'm hoping that by doing the work that we do, by coming to appreciate your body, by coming to appreciate nature, by coming to see the cycles, by seeing, healing and transformation, those things aren't possible in a limited universe, right? In a limited universe, there's no healing, there's no recovery, there's no transformation, there's no evolution in a limited universe. Miracles don't happen, right? Is this making sense to you guys? I mean, I'm saying things that are kind of complex, but I'm trying to break them down in a way that's kind of easy to understand. Seems like you guys are tracking this. Okay. So underneath the inability to manifest is, I'm not worthy. My family's always been poor. No matter how hard I try, I can't, every relationship looks the same. Do these songs sound familiar? And I can't tell you how many of my friends, personal friends and family members sing those same old songs to me all the time. I hear you, Athena, and I'm so happy that you're an optimistic person. But for me, it doesn't work out. I'm so happy you've been successful, but for me, it doesn't happen. Our family, I'm so happy you're healthy, but, my whole family has arthritis or whatever it is. I'm so happy that you, but for me, and they don't see that the only thing wrong with them, honestly, is what they just said. That's right. Lisa says, her dad says, if we didn't have bad luck, we wouldn't have luck at all. And at some point you have to have compassion for those people and just say, okay, you know what I mean? I mean, you can try to be a light and set an example and teach and reframe and help people understand. And somebody said earlier in the feed, and it's the God's truth, you can lead a horse to water. Hey, horse, got some water. Look how good this water is. It tastes really good. It's fresh water. You should drink it. And the horse is like, I don't see it. I don't want it. I'm not thirsty. I don't trust you. That's not good water. I tried that water before, right? Everything in your life, and I know I'm telling you this at the most funky time of the entire year for me to tell you that what you're going to grow this year is a function of where your thoughts, and especially your subconscious thoughts, are right this minute. And so if your subconscious thoughts, and I'm going to say this like 3 times so I make sure you hear it. If your subconscious right now is playing a tape all day long about this virus and about stuff and the economy, and if that's what your subconscious tape is right now, I really want you to reconsider. And that's why it's not good. You know, I have family members who are just sitting in front of the TV all day long watching the news, like literally all day long. And then at the end of the day, it's like, Athena, did you hear this? Athena, did you see that? Athena, did you do this? It's just like, that's their subconscious tape right now, man. And then they're like, I had a dream about this. Oh my God, it was blah, 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 blah. And it's like, yeah, why do you think you're dreaming about it? Because you're hardwiring now the subconscious to live in this constant state of like, what's next and this and breaking news and right? So it's really hard, right, Brittany? I mean, it's really, really hard. And I really want you to know, I'm not here being airy-fairy and going, oh, it's all going to be great and you should have no worries and no fears. But I am saying you got to put a lid on some of that, because if your subconscious wiring goes to this worst-case scenario place, it's going to be very hard for you to harness the beautiful energy of creation that's right at your fingertips for the next 4 weeks. I can't change the cycle of time. If you were to come back to me in July and say, hey, can we do that work from April? Can we do it now because it's just better timing for me? It's not going to have the same energy. So that's why I'm saying let's push pause on a lot of the subconscious programming that's happening right now. And let's, as a collective, make a commitment that we're going to, at least for part of your day, like even if it's just an hour a day, even if it's just half hour a day, even if it's just, honestly, if I could, I'd crawl into bed with you right before you fell asleep and I would just whisper in your ear and go, it's all going to be okay and everything you want is possible and we live in an infinite universe and you should think about that while you're going to sleep tonight. Right? Like I kind of want you to run the dialogue at least before you go to sleep, because that's when your subconscious is starting to program and pick up different things from different parts of your day and start to play with them. And then come July or August or September, you're going to be the one, we're going to be the ones going, I knew this was going to resolve itself. And I was already putting energy towards. People are going to be like, well, how did you get that great new job? Or how did you manifest that new relationship? Or how did you? And you're going to be like, because I flipped the damn script. Because I worked with ancient wisdom. Because I trust in an infinite flipping universe that has my back. Because I believe that the dreams on my heart are actually placed there by a higher source. And because I didn't sit around all day, every day, subconsciously manifesting the worst possible outcome. Right? I should do a little whispering meditation like, hey, Bonnie, before you go to sleep. Right? Is it creepy, or do you actually want me to do that? I can record it really quick this afternoon. Do you want me to do that? I can do it in like a non-creepy voice. It won't be super weird, but I actually can do that. Okay, I'll give you a little subconscious programming tape to play before you go to bed. You live in an infinite universe. All right, Alexis, put that on the to-do list, girl. I'll record it tonight before I go to bed, because I say these things out loud before I go to bed, and I'll just record it, and then you can play it. You want me to creep it up? You guys are so funny. Okay. All right, so Brittany said, if there are so many people subconsciously manifesting the worst outcome, what should we do to protect ourselves in Gaia? Okay, thank you, Brittany Grotto. I feel like I paid you to say that so that I could segue to the next principle, because stay with me. It's fun, right? And I want you to start to think of this as play. Like we're just playing right now. We're playing. We're playing in an infinite universe that has a lot of toys. The universe has a whole bunch of toys. Toys you've never seen before. And so I prefer to play with a whole bunch of toys in my sandbox as opposed to like the 2 shitty toys that they're showing on the news right now. And so Cindy wants a meme instead of an audio. So maybe I'll do both, because the majority of people seem to want audio. But Cindy wants a meme, so however you want it. It's true. Okay. Third principle is vibration. Ready? Everything is in motion and everything is unfolding right now. In perfect order and perfect time. Energy naturally calibrates to the lowest resonant frequency. Let me say that again. Energy naturally calibrates to the lowest resonant frequency. That means the biggest downer in the room, if you're in a room full of people, the biggest downer in the room, that's going to be the resonant frequency of the whole room over time. So even if people come in and they're super happy and super excited, if there's somebody crying in the room, what happens? Have you seen this happen? Big room full of happy people, somebody's in the corner crying. Where does the energy go? It goes all toward the person who stops the vibe, and everybody turns around. Well, what's wrong with Linda? Oh, I'm so sorry, Linda. Energy calibrates to the lowest resonant frequency in the room. And so to Brittany's question, what you have to do is you have to work as hard as you can to raise the frequency and to spread that frequency as far and as wide as you can, because that's what energy naturally does. Energy naturally declines. It doesn't incline, right? It is critical to raise your personal energetic vibration before you manifest. This is why, and keep in mind, your personal vibration is never higher than when you have an orgasm, which is why we've talked about orgasmic manifestation. We talked about this when we were talking about the sacral chakra a couple months ago, right? If you can focus on what you want to create at the moment of orgasm, that is in the human lifetime, that is the highest peak of the frequency. Believe it or not. It's hard to focus on what you're trying to manifest at that exact moment. Sometimes it kind of kills your buzz, but it actually really does work. There's a whole, it's really particle physics more than it even is, what some people call sex magic, right? Okay. The fourth principle is polarity. Everything is dual. Okay? All emotions that you have are on a line, just like this, or on this other end. And so a lot of times we tip the scales this way. We're super, super sad or afraid, or we're super happy, and so the other emotion is down at the other end. All energy works this way. And so if you are stuck in fear or anxiety, what number 4 tells you is at any moment you can switch to the other end of that frequency very easily, because the positive is right there. It's at the other end of that pole. So joy can easily become sorrow, and sorrow can easily become joy. It's about you recognizing what the opposite is of the emotion that you're feeling when you're stuck at a low vibration. That's right. Well, here's the thing. You can go over and comfort Linda. You can ask Linda what's going on. You can check in. You can pay attention to Linda. But you don't have to become Linda. You can focus on maintaining your own frequency even in Linda's presence, right? Which is why we always talk about, as empaths, we are not here to take on everybody's stuff. The minute I start I start witnessing Linda, letting her emotions move through me like smoke, and then trying to work with her energetically, even if I don't say anything to her, working with her energetically to help her shift that dynamic, right? And again, that doesn't have to be a conscious conversation. You don't have to say, hey, Linda, I wish you'd get it together, or knock it off, or stop crying, or I wish you didn't feel that way. But you can energetically start to bring your own frequency into Linda's field, because if you believe in magic, you're probably there to help shift that frequency. The universe is probably using you to a certain extent to put you in that position to help shift the energy, right? And then you can start to help work with her either energetically, or if you're having a conversation with her, you can help her in that way too, right? So everything is polar by principle number 4. And whenever you are on one end of a pole, you can shift to the other end of the pole through conscious intention. So if you're feeling really afraid, ask yourself what the opposite of fear is. Confidence, right? I'm afraid. Okay, what's the opposite of that? I'm confident that everything's going to be okay. All right, so how do I shift there? It's a choice, not an action, right? So it's immediately recognizing that fear and confidence are the same emotions. They're just different aspects. And you can go from one pole to the other very quickly, but it's about bringing awareness to your thoughts and then shifting your frequency accordingly. Are you guys having trouble with the visual? Alexis, is everything okay on your end? My internet's good over here, so I just want to double check and make sure everybody can see me. Are we buffering, Alexis? Is the internet polarizing? I always wait for my team to tell me because they are watching too. And so if you guys are seeing challenges, you can let me know too. Is it buffering? Is it good now? Okay. All right. Principle number 5 is rhythm. This is one of my favorite principles too. Yeah, Annette, I'll come back to that. Annette said that she feels that there are people who are meant to be disruptors. I believe that that's true, Annette. But I think that they are uncommon. And I think that it's still possible to manifest even in the face of disruptors. I think disruptors are tests. They're challengers to our ideology and to our process. I've had plenty of challengers in my experience, but you might call it disruptor. I've had plenty of challengers. What I know for sure is it's very hard for challengers and disruptors, those who are of dark code or dark frequency, however you might want to think about it, it's very hard for them to overcome light energy. It's very difficult. In my experience, the light always wins. The light codes always prevail over the dark codes. So even though there are disruptors who can come in and try and shift you, throw you off center, make you question yourself, make you undermine you, try to challenge you, get you to stop believing. If you are aligned, centered, and balanced, and if you are committed and you are working light energy, I've never seen the darkness overcome the light. And I've been doing this for a long time. And I've seen some pretty serious dark code, and I've seen some pretty serious challenges, and I've never seen it overcome it. Truly. And like I said, if I had ever seen it, I would tell you. And I've seen it try. I have seen it try. It is very, very, very hard for that to overcome. But they can be real testy. Eventually they lose their battery. They do. It's like they kind of wither and lose their battery. They can't keep up that stamina, right? Well, I think that's different. Like Cindy said, she's a disruptor, but she serves the light, right? So, you might be there to challenge the status quo, to challenge mindsets. I think what Annette was mentioning is something more different, which is energies that serve darkness and are there in service only to disrupt light frequencies. So I think we might be talking about slightly different things. But Annette, tell me if I'm misinterpreting you too, because I might not be reading you the right way either. I think having someone who challenges mindsets and paradigms is actually really empowering. I find it very empowering. I like to have challengers and people who are disruptors, light disruptors in my life, because they test your thinking, they keep you kind of sharp and focused, and they also kind of hone your process and help you refine your process, which I actually think is a real service. But I think there's another kind of disruptor that is more, has more malignant intentions, as it were. And those exist too, but they're very far and few between, and eventually they lose their strength. Does that make sense? Hopefully I'm interpreting Cindy right, and hopefully I'm interpreting Annette right too. It'll put you through your paces though. It'll test what you believe. For sure, for sure. Okay. Rhythm is about allowing yourself to become, and hear me on this. This was also from my meditation with Thoth. You ready? Rhythm is about becoming unattached to the pendulum swing of life. That is the magic of the principle of rhythm. Everything is in constant flow. Change is the only thing that we can count on as humans. But if you are totally attached to things are going well, things are going terribly, I feel great, I don't feel great, I'm sad, if you're attached to that rhythm, then it's going to be very hard to stay focused and to manifest in a linear way. So the principle of rhythm is about learning not to be attached to the ebb and flow. so that you don't go with the rhythms of the world. You stay aligned to your own rhythm, your own pendulum, your own, what's the word I'm looking for? Metronome. You become your own metronome rather than being attached to the metronome of the world, right? Because everything's going to swing. Everything's going to go one way or the other. Just like, and this virus is a really good test of this too. It's like going this way, going that way, going this way, going that way. But if you aren't attaching your sails to it, then you're not going to feel so yanked by it. If you're going to be attached to every news update and every statistic and every this and every that, then you're going to be exhausted. You're not meant to operate that way. You're meant to find your own rhythm, acknowledge that there is a rhythm of the universe, but become your own metronome. So you're keeping your own heartbeat stable. Does that make sense? Number 6 is cause and effect. And this is the principle that teaches you that there's no such thing as an accident. For every outcome, there is an instigator. There is an activator of that energy. The whole point of the Hermetic wisdom, the Hermetic principles, is for you to see how much you need to take a more active role. You need to recognize that the universe is vibrating. Everything's in motion. People have their own perspectives. That what is above you in the heavens is a replica of what's on earth and vice versa. That there's a collective consciousness and they all have their opinions and their perspectives and their thoughts and their feelings, but you can ride in the center lane. And this is why I'm teaching this again in the context of priestessing. It is not your job to be of this world. It is your job to stay aligned, centered, balanced, and focused to your true north and your intention, and to learn to work with the energies of the world, but not to be of them, not to be tied to them, not to be accountable to them, not to be swayed by them. Otherwise, it'll be very hard for you to manifest because you're going to be constantly reading the weather. Today it's cloudy, so I'm going to be sad. Tomorrow it's sunny, so I'll be happy. It's like, so who are you? If you're just the sum total of everything that's happening around you, where's your intention? As soon as the clouds come, you're going to get sad? Like, how's that going to work for you, right? So that's the 6th principle of cause and effect. You are the cause of your life. It's not your mom and the fact that she didn't love you enough, right? Or you didn't perceive it. It's not your teachers who weren't fair to you. It's not your partner who didn't appreciate you. It's not your boss who doesn't see you. It's not your kids who, they're not the cause. You are the cause. If you don't like how life is manifesting, then the only place you can look is you. And then you have to start to work some of these lessons around, okay, so if I'm the cause, then I need to get centered, balanced, and aligned to a focused intention. And I need to stop being so swayed by every person, every thought, Does that make sense? Now, this is also about accountability. And I think part of priestessing is saying, wherever I am, I've made this. And if I don't like it, the only person I can really blame at the end of the day is myself. Because, whether you can see it or not, everything in your life right now was something that you called in at some point. Like I was saying earlier during the readings, when people are like, oh my God, I just lost my job. And meanwhile, those people were setting intentions 6 months ago to get a new job. And then the universe comes along and swipes the job away from them and gets ready to give them something better. And they're like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. You either believe in magic or you don't. And again, this isn't really magic as much as it is physics, right? Like there's cause and effect. And if you don't like where you are, you're not a tree, so move. Do something different. Have a different thought. Focus on a different intention. Create something new. Start a new paradigm. But be mindful that the universe right now is serving as its own disruptor. The universe right now is a disruptor. The planet is a disruptor. It's all bringing your attention toward fear and anxiety and deprivation and lack and all of those things. And so right now it's more important than ever that you can look and say, okay, cause and effect. If my life 6 months from now, if I want my life 6 months from now to be a certain way, then I'm going to have to not be so swayed by all of the current events. And I'm going to have to keep that steady, focused line down the middle, man. of what I'm trying to create, especially between April 15th and May 15th, which is the Beltane 5-5 prosperity window that we have every year. It is a test. What did you learn? If I was a teacher, I would love this test. I would sit back and go, yes, priestesses, show me what you learned. I will show you a global pandemic. What will you do? Right? Okay, now I'll tell you can't leave your house, or you have to do this, or what have you learned, right? And sitting back and kind of watching. And some people are showing you what they've learned. They've learned to work their practice, to maintain their focus, to be mindful of their vibration, to set intentions, to be a source of loving kindness and patience and gentleness and compassion for others, to be of service, to transmute fear into confidence and into trust and faith, right? Like, or not. You know, they're sitting in the corner freaking out because they don't know how they're going to make it from one day to the next, right? It's really true. Or eating Cadbury eggs in your pajamas, which I'm not going to judge you for that. It's really true. Woo! All right. And the last principle is number 7. It's gender. There are complementary forces in this universe. Masculine energy, feminine energy. Okay? The yin and the yang of manifestation. And you cannot manifest, this is the last principle, you cannot manifest anything in this universe without masculine and feminine being in balance. You cannot just do the masculine, I'm going to go after it, I'm going to make it happen, it's all going to happen for me, there has to be the feminine, okay, that's all, push, go, insert, right? There has to be the feminine receiving and allowing and trusting and surrendering. You have to have both of those forces operating. That's what this last principle is about. And in the West, we teach people that manifestation is about just going out and getting what you want. You take it and you just do it and you focus and you work hard and the Western manifestation model is entirely focused on this very yang sort of masculine solar energy, but it neglects and sort of denies the yin lunar feminine energy. And so one of the practical exercises that you might consider doing is practicing giving and receiving every day. Each day, ask yourself, have I given something? Okay, great. Have I received? Have I been a vessel, right? Or have I just been a point? Have I just been, an insertion? Have I just put myself into circumstances, or have I learned how to receive? And a lot of people struggle with integration of masculine and feminine because a lot of us are more comfortable. I'm very masculine, so I'm more comfortable in the masculine. My dad was a very influential figure in my life. I've also always, almost for the most part, had closer friendships with men than I have with women. I grew up with an older brother who was very influential, so the masculine is very pronounced for me. And I'm double fire, which is kind of a masculine profile. And my Venus is in an earth sign, so I have a very sort of masculine edge to me. So for me, I'm like Jenny, I struggle with the receiving. I'm very good at giving. I even like to give gifts more than I like to receive gifts. But I've had to learn how to be vulnerable and soft and allow. I've gotten good at it. I mean, I've been practicing it because I've been aware of this for about 20 years. So I've been really practicing learning how to walk both of those edges. Some of you, I witness you. Some of you are very masculine in the ways that you show up, women. And some of you who are men show up as very feminine, right? You're better at receiving. And so I think it'd be fun for you to take an inventory this month and ask yourself, and maybe even ask some people in your life, am I better at giving or receiving? Am I more linear or circular? You know what I mean? Am I more day or night? Right? Like, where are you? And there's no wrong answer. I mean, I don't fault myself for being more masculine. I'm named after a goddess who didn't have a mom, right? Like, how much more masculine can you get than that? But you can still work it and focus and try to learn how to pick up that other edge so that you become balanced and so some of you who are a little harder edged, could work on being a little softer. Some of you who might be too soft, right, could work on sharpening your edges just a little bit, which will help you with the rough and tumble of life so that you don't feel so, bruised by every corner. I don't feel bruised very often because I can take it, you know what I mean? But some people are so soft and tender that they just feel bruised by life, right? And so it's about finding that balance so you don't feel too much one way or the other. We should make a quiz for that. I don't know of a good quiz for that. But even these questions that I've just asked you would be really good journal prompts for you. And keep in mind too, in your worksheets, there are journal questions. So if you look at the last principle, the questions are: choose anything around you as an example and list a couple of its masculine and feminine qualities. Now do the same for yourself. What are your feminine qualities? And then what are your masculine qualities, right? And you can look at those as one way to enter into that conversation. But I think most of you could do a pretty fair assessment of yourselves. I mean, if I can see you pretty clearly, I think you can probably see you clearly too. And so where you're too tough, you need to soften up. Where you're too soft, you need to toughen up, right? Because you got to have a little bit of a balance of both. You don't want to be too far one way or too far of the other. So these are all at sagegoddess.com. So when you log in with your account on the website, and Alexis can probably give you some more refined directions on specifically where to click or give you a link, but these are all on the website for you. Now, these are all there. We designed these for you. So on the website, you have, this packet is 9 pages long, and then you have the 12 steps of acknowledgement, which is another 5 pages long, which also has some questions for you. And then you have 2 additional PDFs on the website, which are all the 12 steps of acknowledgement that I walked you through earlier. And then we made a different version of it. In case you're more of a visual learner, we made this one, but we also made this one that has the individual breakdown month by month. Yeah, so if you can't print it, you could always, and it's kind of tricky right now, you could take it to, a local print store like a Kinko's, FedEx. Those places are open right now if you wanted to do that, or you can just read it on your computer and print it out later when we're all back on planet Earth. Was that helpful for you guys? Do you have any questions about anything that we just covered? We covered a lot of territory. Lot of territory. As I sip my chai. Oh, thank you, Alexis, for posting that. Okay, very cool. I'm glad that you enjoyed it. I love that Ashley's like, I'm going to be assertive by ordering a pizza by phone instead of online. You're driving this bus, and you need to be the ringleader of this circus. How do you change your subconscious thoughts? So these are conversations to have with yourself, the changing of the subconscious dialogue. So you need to ask yourself, what is your conscious practice? So you might say, well, I have a prosperity altar in the southeast corner of my home. I light my prosperity candle every day. I set intentions for prosperity at every new moon. And then you would ask yourself, so are you manifesting prosperity? And you can answer that. You might say, well, I am, but not as much as I want. And then you have to look and really start to ask yourself some of those deeper questions I was raising earlier, like, do you believe that you're worthy of prosperity? Do you believe that if you get prosperity, that somebody else won't get it? Have you noticed how most people don't really want other people to experience prosperity? Have you noticed that? I personally wish prosperity for everybody on the planet. I wish that every single person on this planet had as much as they wanted or needed of material prosperity. That's my wish. But a lot of people I know are like, yeah, I want it for him, but I don't really want her to have that. Or I want it for her, but I don't really want him to have that. Because one of two things is happening. First of all, either those people don't want somebody else to have more than they do, or they think, right, which there's a jealousy component, or they think if that guy over there gets it, that they're not going to have enough because the universe is only this big. And so if somebody takes one part of that pizza, then there's only going to be 2 slices of pizza left. It's kind of like my kids with food. My kids honestly think that if Like if there's a bag of chips and I have two, all of a sudden they're not going to have any chips to eat. And it's what we call a, it's a lack mentality. And that's rooted in subconscious stuff. Same thing with love. People will be like, they want you to be happy, but they don't want you to have a better partner than they do. Right? Oh, you can go ahead and find a nice person to be with in a relationship. Better not be better than my partner, because then I'm going to be jealous of you. Because if you get a great partner, then that means that maybe I can't have a great partner. You and I both know that doesn't make any sense. But subconsciously, those people are like, if you get that, then I don't get it. Or if you have that, then I can't have it. There's this whole thing around that, right? So this is what I'm talking about. And I'm telling you guys, this shit's hard. Getting underneath the subconscious stuff, because you got to be willing to be honest with yourself and say, you know what? That's true. In my life, I don't really want other people to have more than I have, if that's true for you. If you can get to a place where you can say, and I truly mean it, I wish for other people to have more than I have. Let them have it. Let them be happy. Let them have all of their dreams. Let them have the best partner in the world. Let them have a better partner than I have. Maybe they think it's better. I don't know. It doesn't mean that there's less for me or for you or anybody else. But I don't have that hang up. If you have that hang up where you're jealous of people, or like, well, she's got 2 pairs of shoes, or she's got a husband who takes her on trips, or he's got a wife who cooks for him every night, or whatever. It's like, how does that keep you from having things? But that's the kind of subconscious limitation, that lack mentality, that keeps people from manifesting what they seek. Same thing with a job. People are like, oh, I hope you find the job of your dreams, except it better not be better than my job. That's subconsciously the tape that's playing. And then when you're like, oh my God, I got this job and it's so amazing and they doubled my pay and stuff, and you're sitting there going, because you're jealous. It's like, let them have it. It doesn't mean that you can't manifest that or something better in your own life. It just means they did it. And the more you can consciously celebrate what they have, the more likely you are to receive it yourself. Because then you're getting out of your own subconscious way. Does that make sense? It's no joke. It's no joke. And you see it all the time. You see it all the time. People get jealous of people who have more money, people who have more, whatever it is you want. Some people don't want money. I have plenty of friends who are like, that's not what I'm after. But, they're after love, or they're after happiness. Like, their friends like, I'm so happy right now. And they're like, oh, great. Shit. Does that mean I can't be happy? There is enough happiness, sex, money, joy, I don't know what you want, health, in this world for everybody to have what they want, and you still have everything you want. It doesn't affect you. And in fact, when the universe sees you genuinely happy for Becky, because Becky got a big job and a hot partner and is over there laughing and happy, when the universe sees you happy for Becky, that's when the universe knows you graduated. When you're not going, well, Becky didn't deserve it because Becky didn't work as hard as I did. Becky hasn't been on the dating scene as long as I have. I know Becky doesn't appreciate it. Right? Okay, so how do we blend polarity, rhythm, and gender through practical action? Let's go back to that, shall we? My 25 pages of notes. I'm trying to use names that aren't like charged. Do you know what I mean? Be happy for Becky. You know what? Long live Becky and all her happiness and her prosperity. Aho. That's really true. All right, so polarity, let's talk about that. Everything is dual. Practical action. We talked a little bit about this, but it bears repeating. So polarity in action looks like this. You are afraid, right? Maybe it's current circumstances. You have to figure out where you are. So fear is over here. You're activating this one end of the pole. In order to balance it, you got to figure out what the opposite end of that pole is. So for me, when I'm afraid, it's usually because I've lost faith, right? Because it's hard to be faithful and fearful at the same time. So if I'm afraid, it's because I don't have faith. So then I have to ask myself, how do I raise my level of faith to counterbalance the fear that I'm experiencing? Again, the goal isn't to flip it and go all the way to the other end of the spectrum. You don't want to just be high on faith and no fear. I mean, maybe you do, but the goal is always balance in the universe, right? The universe likes to be in balance. So that's how you balance it in real time. If you're really, really in a state of grief, what's the opposite of grief? Because remember, they're the same frequency. You're just on a different pole. So the opposite of grief is, I don't know, appreciation or gratitude or joy, right? So then you have to ask yourself, so I'm going to raise joy. I'm going to find a way to connect to the energy of joy to balance the grief and bring it back into a state of balance. Does that make sense? So that's how polarity works. It's a great question. So Heidi asked, what's the other side of anger? Which, by the way, keep in mind, anger a lot of times is grief with a different face. When people are very, very angry, they are usually 2 seconds away from crying. I have never met an angry person in my life. I've met a bunch of them, but I've never met one of them who wasn't 2 seconds away from breaking down and screaming and crying because they're grieving. Pissed off people who are very unkind are very sad. And the mask that they wear is anger, but it's really grief. Yeah, it's pain. And angry people are 2 seconds away from crying if you ask them the right question. So anger is probably, because it's really grief, it's probably joy. And so angry people have lost, in most cases, their ability to feel joy, right? It's just hard because some kind of trauma happened and they lost access to joy. And that's right. Life Learner said anger is easier than grief. It is. And it's more normalized. In our society, we're like, oh, he's just angry or he has anger management issues. We don't really look at a man and go, he has grief management issues. Because we don't really understand how the masculine grieves, and that for the masculine, grief turns to rage. Does that make sense? It's true. And so we can think about that with everything. With rhythm, it's, in practical terms, it's about recognizing when you're riding somebody else's wave. I mean, think about it in the context of this virus, right? We are riding the representation of this wave. Oh, the death toll's really high. Oh, maybe it's not so high. Oh, but it could still be high, but we don't know. We'll tell you tomorrow. And here, breaking news, we've got an update. And now this is, right now, we are riding this rhythm principle in such an extreme way, right? Except we don't have to. Except we can choose to create our own rhythm in the middle of the broader rhythms that are happening. But that's partly awareness, right? Like, I want to get off of this big swinging pendulum and I want to find a more measured rhythm within that, my own wave to ride. And you set the terms. That's your metronome. That's not the cosmic metronome, right? Which can make you seasick, right? Especially right now, it's like such a wide range of energies, right? So you decide what the rhythm is that you're going to ride. That's the practical application as opposed to riding the universe's metronome right now. Right? And it's just as simple as that. I mean, again, that's why I'm saying the Hermetic principles are like oddly simple, where you're like, this isn't that complicated, except living it's tough because our whole society is built on not doing these things, which is why people don't manifest. People don't manifest because they don't understand their subconscious programming and they don't want to. They just want to do what they do and still get everything they want. They still want to be jealous of people and unwilling to be happy for other people and still get whatever they want. They want to ride unconscious waves of energy and still get whatever they want. They want to be all masculine and not soften up or surrender a little bit and still get whatever they want. They want to, it's just, that's how it is. They don't want to honor some of these ancient practical truths, and yet they want the outcome of a practice that recognizes these things. Does that make sense? Yeah, My download on the third principle was what I shared earlier, but let me rephrase it for you one more time. Energy in a room naturally calibrates. This is my wisdom on the vibration principle number 3. Energy in the room naturally calibrates to the lowest frequency, which means you have to be mindful when you walk into a room who has the lowest frequency, and you have to watch your own energy as you interact with that energy. It doesn't mean that you can't help that person or witness that person or spend time with that person, but it does mean you need to, as an empath, take responsibility for your own energy and not let that other person's energy lower your energy to their exact same frequency. So it's knowing where you're at, and it's knowing who's the lowest in the room. And that's why, so when people come into the Soulship Facebook group, right, in the past we've had people say, I wish people wouldn't post their problems. I don't want to come into the group and read everybody's problems. We've had people say that before. And my universal response has been, as priestesses, that's not how it goes. You are in training to learn how to walk into a room, whether it's a virtual room or a physical room, where people are having problems, and not take them on as your own. You are learning how to witness, how to bear witness, without allowing it to affect your own internal frequency. And what better context to learn that in than our own community? But those people are saying, no, I just want people not to talk about their problems, which is the opposite of the Hermetic principles, right? Like, I wish I lived in a world where I never had to encounter a challenge, right? But that's not reality. Reality is you're going to encounter problems. You're going to have to learn what's my frequency, what's that frequency, and then let me be mindful that I don't fall down that rabbit hole. I can witness it without becoming it. Does that make sense? And that's why I don't change the ground rules of Soulship to say, oh, nobody post your problems, because that's not realistic. And that's not why you're here. You're here to learn how to manage those energies with the tools and techniques that you're taught. And then you can look and say, okay, now I understand, right? That if Sarah's having a problem or if Heidi's having a hard day, I want to know that that's happening. I consciously want to know that that's happening. And then my ability to witness it without taking it on tells me I've graduated. I'm actually doing the work that I came here to learn in this class. And that helps you navigate family reunions and Christmas dinners and Passover seders and going to the shopping mall and dealing with the crazy lady at the grocery store who's screaming at the clerk because the lines are too long right now. I mean, you can't move through your life not encountering all of that, right? But I don't have to become that woman who's yelling at the grocery clerk. I can see what she's doing, but then I can consciously manage my own frequency while I'm watching her without becoming her and without allowing my frequency to be calibrated down to her level. And that's how we become thermostats, right? So this is, there's always a method to my madness, I guess, is part of what I'm telling you tonight. And even the context of our groups, where sometimes the energy gets heavy and it gets kind of dense, right? It's like, learn what your role is there. Your role is not as an empath to walk around like a sponge, just taking it all in until you're so exhausted at the end of the day you can barely stand up. That's not why you're here. Where does forgiveness fall in? Forgiveness falls in everywhere. But forgiveness is really hard for people. Because forgiveness requires you to be willing to clean the slate and not keep reviving the dead. Humans have a particular penchant for wanting to revive the dead. But you did that. But you said that. But I can't forget. And it's just like, who's that serving? I mean, and every time I hear someone say those things, I picture them like going, clear, revive the dead, clear, revive the dead, clear, revive the dead. And it's like, for what purpose? But still people are like, well, it's my right I don't have to forgive and I can keep remembering and and it's like, sure, except it's preventing you from enjoying your life, right? No, they do. I will never forget. Okay, great. And we're going to talk about it. Okay. Jesus. You know? Don't revive the dead. Let the dead be with the dead. I mean, speak your truth, but speak it once. I mean, that's shamanism. Speak your truth, but speak it once and move on. Because at the end of the day, the dead person doesn't want to be revived. And you don't want to be walking around, you know, doing code blue all the time. Let that shit go. I mean, unless you want to carry it around, but I don't think you do. Because you're carrying it around in the form of disease, you're carrying it around in the form of an extra 20 pounds, you're carrying it around in the form of a, you know, cigarette addiction, you're carrying it around in a form that just isn't good for you anyway. It's really true. So that's where forgiveness comes in, you know? I mean, you got to look at your life at a certain point and say, I didn't get what I needed. Okay, sorry. That person hurt me. Wow, that was terrible. Sorry. I'm moving on, you know? My mom used to say I was too quick to forgive. She used to say, like, you know, there was mean girl stuff when I was young. And I remember her saying to me one time, you know, you went back the next day and you were nice to those girls. And those girls were very mean to you yesterday. And I just want you to, I still remember the conversation. She was like, I just want you to really think about what they said. They were very mean to you. I was Zoe's age. And I remember looking at her and I'm like, I don't want to keep talking about that. Like, they said they were sorry. I just want to move on. And she's just like, well, I just think, you know, you forgive too easily and you need to be cautious with people. And if you forgive too easily, they can just do it all over again to you. And I remember thinking like, or maybe they won't. You know what I mean? Like, it just didn't even make sense to me at the time. Like, or maybe I can have a higher intention for those relationships and maybe that shit won't happen again, right? Just putting it out there for your consideration, right? I love that, Carla. Otherwise, you walk into every relationship in your life expecting to be hurt. And I'll tell you something. If you walk into every relationship in your life expecting to be hurt, you are going to get hurt because you're going to manifest that. Because all is mental. Because of principle 1 of the Hermetic Code. All is mental. It's all in your mind. If you think you're going to get hurt, guess what? You're going to get hurt. If you think you're going to lose your whatever, you're going to lose it. I promise you. It's just the absolute God's truth. All is mental, Mom, Linda. Right? And then the last one you were asking about, I think, was gender, which is about, and remember, gender isn't sex, right? Gender is about the divine masculine and the divine feminine. It's not about penis, vagina, or whatever tools you've got, right, in your toolbox. So it's not about the parts, it's about the essence and the energy. And like I have girl parts, but I'm very masculine. I'm kind of a dude, okay? And some people have boy parts, but they're very feminine. They're kind of a chick. So it's more about the integration of the masculine and the feminine, which is about learning. If you're very masculine like me, and I give, I insert, I'm learning how to receive. If you're very feminine and all you know how to do is receive, you got to learn how to give. Does that make sense? So that's the practical application. So I'm more of a dude than a lot of dudes. Lorian and I are dudes. We're co-dudes. You know? Sylvie's a dude. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. I have no judgment. But people laugh all the time when they don't know me very well. And they're like, you got makeup on and flash tats and jewelry? And I'm like, but underneath this all, man, I'm a dude. I'm a real dude. Yeah, I'm very Arcturian. I'm very masculine. I'm very Atlantean. I'm very intellectual and very analytical and all of the things that, you know, people don't think of as a chick. All right? Yeah. But I'm learning how to be a chick. I really am. Like, I'm chicking up. Kind of softening. I'm receiving. I'm allowing. I'm, like, chicking into it, you know? I'm really glad you guys enjoyed this. I really hoped that you would. It was my intention to break it down in a way that wasn't too complicated. So what I'm going to do is, if it's okay with you, because we're at 5:55 right now, so we've been together for almost 2 hours, and I still want to activate our tools, and I still want to talk to you about the Angelophos symbol for this month. So if it's okay with you, you guys are cracking me up. And I also want to record your subconscious thing for you tonight. So if it's okay with you, would you mind if we made the perfume in a separate live? Would that be okay with you? Because I don't want to rush it. And we can schedule it. It's only going to take about 15, 20 minutes, but I'd really like to just take our time with it. Maybe even tomorrow or Friday might be good. Is that okay? That way we're not rushing it. I want to do it this week. I don't want to wait till next week because I want you to be able to work with the perfume and the energy of it. Okay. So let's do that. Let's consecrate our tools. Let's talk about the Angelophos symbol, which is creation this month. I'll teach you how to draw it. Well, some of you don't have your tools too, huh? Would you rather wait till next week to make the perfume? Like Monday? We could always do it on Monday. I don't know. Okay, so we'll check in. We'll plan for Friday, and then we'll go with the flow. Like, because I was planning. Right now I'm coming live with you every day, so it doesn't really matter to me. So let's plan for Friday, and then if you guys are like, yeah, it'd be better to wait till Monday, I'll be with you Monday too. So we can. I don't want to go past Monday is my only request because I do want you to have the perfume. So we'll figure that out. It'll either be Friday or Monday. So let's talk about our tools. I'm going to turn the camera down so that we can consecrate our tools here. Not to tempt you with other goodies, but did you see this today? This is my new favorite thing. As a sound tool. I mean, you can hang it in your garden. It's like big, long, tall. Isn't that pretty? I love it when the team orders like really cute, creative little sound tools like that. I wanted chimes and they're super pretty. Aren't they pretty? I know. Maybe I'll play that in your little subconscious programming audio later. Okay. All right. So, I knocked my candles over. Hold on. So this is not the right symbol because I gave up my tools, my own set of proper tools. I gave it up so that somebody else could have a full set. So I'm going to be getting my set when the rest of you get your set too. So just keep in mind, I have the wrong spheres here and I don't have the right pillar. I gave it to somebody else. So just pretend that that's right when you look at it. Or if it bothers you, just don't look at it. If you're OCD and you just can't stand that it's got the wrong symbol, I understand. All right. So let's begin in the east, which is over here. And we are going to welcome in our hibiscus, calendula, rose petals, Egyptian basil, and angelica root. And part of the reason you have 5 herbs this month instead of the usual 2 is that in session 4, we're going to be dressing these candles that I just knocked over. So, and I'll be walking you through the metaphysics of the herbs, and then we'll be dressing our candles, and we'll be activating our grids and all of that happening together at session 4. And so we give thanks for the mother plants who sacrificed some of their babies to be put forward for our kit this month. Are we frozen? Can you see me? Is everything okay? I'm checking. You have 4? You should have 5, I think. Is that right, Alexis? Hibiscus, calendula, rose petal, Egyptian basil, and angelica root. Alexis, can you... And you have lavender? Okay, I don't have lavender. Alexis will let us know. Oh, good. I'm missing one. Shit. Okay, good. So there should be 6 and I'm missing 1. All right. So we give thanks for our herbs. Okay, good. We'll sort that. Alexis will comment and let us know what we should have. Okay, and then in the south, we want to give thanks for our 4 candles. These were all hand rolled at SG with a lot of love for each one of you. And in the west, we want to give thanks for our oils. So you have your blending bottle. You should have your label. This is your label to go on your bottle so that you can name it when you're done, especially if you're new, so that you know. Okay, yes, there's 2 in one bag and 4 in the other. That makes sense. I just took mine out and put mine together, but I'm missing one. Okay, and then your oils for this month are apricot kernel, right there, bay essential oil, and labdanum, which is, I will tell you something. Next to patchouli, this is my favorite oil on earth. And I'll tell you so much more of the story about this when we gather on Friday or Monday. In ancient Rome, the Caesar wore this. It's called rock rose. And it comes from Persia, but it was traded through the Silk Road and brought into Rome and other parts of Europe at the time. So the Caesar wore this, and in Rome, in ancient Rome, nobody else was allowed to wear it because he wanted people to know when he had been there. And so if you went through Rome and you smelled this, because it's a fixative, so it lasts forever. If you don't like this, do not wear it, because everything you own will end up smelling like this forever. It's very hard to get out of clothing. It's very hard to get out of... And even if you put it, like some people use it, they put it into wood. I had a friend who loved it so much, he made like a wood polish and his whole house smelled like it, and then the furniture smelled like it forever. So if you don't like this, be very careful with it because you'll never be able to get the smell out of it. So this was, when you were in Rome, in ancient Rome, this is how you knew the Caesar had been there. Isn't that cool? So that was his proprietary. No, these are pure. So this is pure labdanum, and this is pure bay laurel. We don't cut these. And then we give you a carrier oil and a dropper bottle, and then you dilute your own, but we don't pre-dilute it. Lauren's leaked into her box. That's a bummer. Do you still have enough to make perfume? I'm hoping that you do. Yeah, labdanum is truly my favorite next to patchouli. For me, it is like sex in a bottle. I find it irresistible. And it's very unisex. In fact, interesting fast fact about labdanum, there are no women's perfumes in the US, commercial perfumes, that have labdanum. They only use it in men's commercial perfumes or colognes. Because in the US, they think of it as masculine. In Europe and in the Middle East, they put it in women's colognes. It's very interesting, right? Yeah, labdanum and patchouli is super sexy. Labdanum was the basis, by the way, of all the human design perfumes. So if you liked those all had labdanum in them. And then your bay, so I want to give thanks to the mother plants for those. In the north, we want to give thanks for our gemstones this month and our necklace. I hope you love your lariat. Isn't it sexy? We custom designed this with the creation symbol. And then we had them put aventurine beads on it, which is the stone of creation. And then it's adjustable on the back, all done in sterling silver. This is one of my favorite necklaces we've ever made at SG. And we had one side stay attached on the back, and then the other side moves. Isn't that cool? So it's very sexy. You can wear it short, like up at your neck, like a choker, or you can wear it long. Isn't that fun? So that was custom made for you guys with our Angela Fos symbol. And then we want to give thanks for our generator, our pillar, with your symbol, which mine is not right, so don't look at it. And then you have 4 natural citrine spheres. These are quartz placeholders. 4 pieces of arvezanite for manifestation and 4 quartz points on your grid. And then the grid itself, was custom made just for Soul Shift, which is kind of exciting. I'll take my stones off so I can show you. So we designed this and had this grid made. So it's a 4-direction manifestation grid with the creation symbol in the middle. And so that is the centerpiece of our work for the month. I'll put that back together when we're done. We're just consecrating our tools. And so we give thanks for the energy of these tools and dedicate them to our work in the weeks and months ahead of us. Aho. Now, these are not the citrine spheres. These are just basic quartz ones as placeholders because I gave my set for somebody else. Yeah, the rings are to hold your spheres on your grid. I don't have rings either yet, but I'll get rings later. Isn't it pretty? Yeah, if you don't have tools, that's okay. But I always consecrate them and dedicate them and work with them for those who do have them. But you can always improvise. If you don't have the tools, you can work with something else that you have. Yeah, the little rings are sphere holders. Okay, so the last part of our work together for tonight is Angela Fos. Can't believe we're working with our fourth symbol now. And it is the creation symbol. So last month we had the union symbol, remember? So remember the union symbol, when we drew that symbol, you start at the middle, around, and then all the way around the circle on the outside. This month's symbol is the creation symbol. Out of union comes creation. And so you take the union symbol, turn it on its side, and then it forms another union. Do you see that? So the way you draw this particular symbol is you start in the center again. You make your two circles as if you're creating union, but then you make an additional union symbol above and below. I don't know why I'm drawing it on myself. I can draw it on paper to show you too, with my fancy new pen. So last month was union, right? And then, we have the circle around. This month takes the union symbol and turns it on its side. And then you have a second union above and below. And that's exactly how ayahuasca showed it to me in Journey. So it's the union symbol flipped with an additional union emerging from it. I am the world's worst artist, so please don't judge me. That is like the worst possible drawing of it. Can you not see, Pua? Let me know. So, there we go. Ready for bad drawing? That's the union symbol. This month, you take the union symbol, you turn it on its side, and then you create another union above and below it. So it's almost like a four-leaf clover, but in reality, it should be like this, where the union symbol is the same, but then the secondary union is a little bit smaller. And if you look on the necklace is actually accurate to the drawing. It looks like that. It's like two little babies. It's like the union had twins. I know, those pens are in the shop today. Aren't they cute? These pens come with your new Soul Shift journal. These are at Sage Goddess. Aren't they fun? And they say Sage Goddess on them. You either get a teal one or an indigo one. I had to choose the colors. It was really hard to choose, but I thought these were the prettiest. Then they have little Swarovski crystals inside. Zoe saw this and she's like, I want that. I'm like, no, those are mine. You can't have it. Yeah, it's twin infinity symbols. The light purple light is my my light that I'm growing my cannabis with. My cannabis plant is in there. I showed that to you, right? It has doubled in size since I started growing it. I've only been growing it for like a month, and it's like... So anyway, in California, we are lucky enough to be able to grow cannabis, but you got to grow it indoors, and that's my growing light. In there. You want to see it? I can go get it for you. Do you really want to see it? I'll go get it. I'll show it to you. She's so pretty. I'm very proud of her. I'll be right back. on that because she's kind of dry. I need to water her. But that's her. Isn't she cute? Look at the sacred geometry. That's something else. Yeah, I think we're legally allowed to grow 2, but I don't have room for 2. But literally this plant was right here when I got her about a month ago, and she has doubled. So she's very happy. And there's a little generator. I put a little citrine generator. There's a tumbled aventurine in there because that's what you put in your plants. I know, soon I won't be able to carry her. She's leggy, to use Nathan's term. You can grow 12? Where would you put them? Okay, so I should cut the top, really? You guys are gonna have to teach me. I really don't know what I'm doing. I've never grown it before, but I'm trying to get off the grid because a lot of the cannabis that's being grown in California, they're using pesticides, and so it's not good for you. So, yeah, okay. So yeah, if you guys have tips, growing tips, if you could send me a private message and let me know, I'm very open to learning more. Yeah, so I don't even know what a cola is, Danielle, so you're gonna have to teach me. Seriously. Aww. Okay, good to know. Yeah, so send me messages or YouTube links, and so I don't take too much of your time with that tonight. Okay. All right. I had so much fun with you tonight. I hope you really enjoyed it. So a couple of things to tell you about. I mentioned the journals that are on the website. Those are cute. We also have our Palotizer. If you are looking for hand sanitizer, that's the SG version. What else did I want to tell you? Tomorrow we have a live gem sale. Dave and I are doing it together, the gem sale, from 3 to 5:30. So that's going to be funny. You might just want to tune in for some hijinks tomorrow. I've never done a live gem sale with Dave. I think he's going to be good at it. I hope he's going to behave himself. I don't have my Alexis with me live, so gotta have somebody here with me. He's going to do it. Alexis is going to be live online while we're doing it, but we'll see what that's about. Yeah, we do have a new wind chime. Isn't it cute? It has a moon on it, by the way. I was super obsessed with it. The bottom is a moon. Isn't that cute? I'm going to hang it outside eventually, but I've been using it like a little sound tool. And then Friday, right now the plan for Friday is to go live and make perfume. And then if we as a collective decide we want to do it on Monday, we can do it Monday instead, but I'm going to plan for Friday. Any previews of what's for sale tomorrow? It's all Tucson stuff. I wish I had a preview to show you. I don't have a preview, but I'll come live before the sale with a preview once I get everything set up tomorrow, 3 p.m. Pacific time. The way the gem sales work is you have to have an account on sagegoddess.com, which I think most of you do if you've never been to one before. Make sure your YouTube handle is on there. And then the gem sale, and the stuff tomorrow is especially low priced. I mean, we've really tried to be mindful because it's a stressful time for everybody. So we tried to find some of the best Tucson stuff, but also the stuff that's more on the affordable side than usual. So I think you'll find some stuff that's really, really cool and stuff that's also in an affordable price range. And then the shipping is free if you're in the US. If you're outside the US, it's $5 per item. We'll ship anywhere in the world, but you have to have an account. And then you can just say sold when you see something you like, and we ship it to you. Did I miss anything? Was there anything else I was supposed to tell you about? I don't know if there's surprise bags this time. Alexis, do you know if there's surprise bags? I don't know. And part of it is my team. I don't have my whole team working right now, so we're a little bit on the short-staffed side, so we may have to wait for surprise bags until we're back. I think I'll just go live into our Facebook group if that's okay. But maybe we can, Alexis and I will put our heads together and figure out the right format. Yeah, it's a staffing issue right now with the surprise bags. Kind of a bummer, but we'll get back to it. We have a sale tomorrow, and then we have a second one 2 weeks later. So I'm hoping maybe by the end of April or early May. At the latest, hopefully mid-May, we'll be back in the building and be able to do those things that we miss so much. All right, sounds good. I know. Let me talk to the team about that and see if we can do that. It's so good to see you guys tonight. Well, I'm glad you enjoyed class. I will look forward to seeing you again tomorrow at the live gem sale, and then I will look forward to seeing you Friday for some perfuming. So Tina Torres, go back to the beginning of this. I talked about tools and shipping and all of that right at the beginning of class tonight. So go back to the beginning of this recording, right when we started at 4:10, 4:15 is when I talked about tools, and then you'll hear the whole update on that. I'm so glad. Good night, you guys. It was wonderful to see you. Thank you for being there. I hope the class today lifted your spirits. I remember how we put all that stuff in parentheses, all the stuff we weren't thinking about. If you want it back, you can take it back now. If you want to leave it in parentheses and not think about it, I would invite you to just leave it in parentheses. And with that, that's session 1. I'm looking forward to seeing you very soon. You guys have a great rest of your night. Take care. And I will get that recording ready for you, your nighttime recording. I'm going to do it right now so that you have it for, if we can't get it for you tonight because we got to process it, we'll put it in YouTube. You'll have it tomorrow. So you have something good to fall asleep to every night too. Love you. See you soon. Thank you, Alexis.